Pisces, Pisces rising. How you doing, Pisces? This is your reading for the Aquarius new moon that happened on the 29th of January 2025. That was yesterday. Today I'm recording on Thursday, Jupiter's day, which is very in alignment with this new moon. You're not missing out on any of the messages, even though this is after the event, because the energies that come through in these readings serve you for the next 6 months up until the Aquarius full moon. There was a delay in getting this transit out because I spent so much time, it was glorious, on the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo transit series. Pisces, obviously you're very, very strongly affected by this. If you haven't caught that transit, I thoroughly recommend it. Big stuff came through, lots of channeled stuff, very powerful. I am here for this transit. It is currently transforming my whole reality, and so I go into a lot of detail into that transit. It's easy to find. It's got its own playlist, so I recommend you check it out. Right, bit of housekeeping first before I kick off into this reading. There is currently, up until the 13th of February, which is the day after the Leo full moon, there is currently 50% off all readings. This is the Lunar New Year, the Aquarius New Moon, Chinese New Year. So big giving back energy, big celebration energy. So I thought I'd give 50% off all private readings. And so you can find that on my website. If you'd rather pay by PayPal, email me directly and we will sort that out. So that's available. The code is Luna50. It's in the description box. I'm going to put a community post up today with that information, and that will give you, as I say, 50% off. So second bit of housekeeping that isn't related to this transit is that I've set up a second YouTube channel. It's called Quantum Vibe Tarot. Again, link in the description box. Also linked it into this channel on the homepage, and it's more direct transmissions. It's shorter videos. It's not so fixed in astrology, although I will be doing 2 more videos, one on the Virgo South Node, one on the North Node in Pisces, of how bringing in the frequency that helps us activate the higher, most integrated intention of that transit. I'm on camera. I'm using lots of different decks, lots more channeling, going through it all. I'm not going into too much detail, just seeing what the cards want to tell us in terms of the transmission and all of that good stuff. So if you feel so inclined, go check out that channel. There's only 2 videos up at the moment, but there will be more coming out bit by bit. So I read for the rising signs. Those of you who do not have Pisces in the first house, look to the house it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning that's going on for you in the sign of Pisces. So your sun, moon, whatever's going on. And you want to apply all of that meaning to what comes through in this video, because that Pisces energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology I'm going to talk about, the houses I'm going to talk about, are still relevant. You just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. For example, I've got Pisces over in the 8th. I'll apply the themes of the 8th house, as well as I've got my part of fortune, which is an astrological point. And I'll apply the meaning of that to what comes through in this reading. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Now, there is a 2-part series that was the first 2 videos that went out for this moon. And in part 1, I break down the meaning of the Chinese New Year, wherein I talk about the year of the wood snake, which is why I've got my little snake here. Hello. And the cross-quarter fire festival of Imbolc, which is in between the Capricorn solstice and the Aries equinox. These are big pivot points in the year that help us get an alignment with the bigger Earth cycles. Talk about all the meaning of that, and they're all interlinked, as well as the numerology of 9, because we're in the year 9, the shedding of our skin of the last 9 years with the year of the wood snake. Part 2, I break down the astrology of this new moon in way more detail, have how the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the exact moment. That brings in a code, an energetic frequency that we then download, right? That's the baseline to what shows up in these readings. Again, really get into the weeds of the intention of that moon. Pulled collective tarot, channeled messages came through, I talked a lot of philosophy in that one, a lot about Hermetics, the Hermetic principles, as well as the Tao, the Tao. Now, there were two themes that came up with that moon. One, neutrality, not numbness. Numbness means we're hiding from things, we're blocking emotions out, we're in resistance. Neutrality is this cultivation of this sense of that neutrality within yourself. It's not about not having feelings or desires, but being neutral with whatever's going on. Then you're not in conflict, you're not in resistance to your own existence, and therefore Source can then co-create with you at a higher level. Now, the other theme came up because this new moon is conjunct, oh, that came out quick, Pluto and Mercury. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Pluto, it brings things up from that which has been hidden. It's our root id power, our magnetism. It can highlight distortions where around control, right? Because Pluto is inherently neutral. The cycle of life, death, and rebirth, it is just a thing that happens, and we struggle with that. So Pluto can highlight that struggle in order to get us to a state of neutrality. So what's being unearthed in this new moon is a universal truth that was always within you that's been blocked, right? This is coming to the forefront with this new moon in the sign of Aquarius, which is a collective air sign. It is that kind of higher thinking, that zoomed out perspective, not getting into the weeds of things. So this is the universal frequency, the universal truth that's coming through. I'm pulling 2 oracle cards to see what that is for you, and then we're going to be pulling some tarot, 1 of what's the challenge and 2 of how to work with it. At the time of recording, the ascendant is in Gemini, which is very appropriate because this moon is trining Jupiter in Gemini, which I will talk about. But Pisces is in the 10th house, right? Where the house of visibility, your life path, your career, your visibility and reputation. So that is going to be infused. We're going to get messages around that path that's linked into the Pisces rising. So Pisces rising, where is this happening for you? Well, it's happening in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, the unconscious spaces, the unseen realms. And in those unconscious spaces can be trauma responses, limiting beliefs, distorted love languages that then govern our actions out in the world, right? We have anxiety, depression, loss, grief, isolation here. Ito fala di anima. But underneath all that good stuff is the magic of your soul. Aquarius is actually your power up, Pisces, and that's one of the cosmic jokes from the cosmic troll, that is the cosmic universe, of putting the magic of our soul underneath all of that unconscious conditioning. And which is why you see in so many, I forgot to mention, hi, I'm Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, which you're hearing with the vocal light language and seeing with my hand movements in terms of a physical light language. All of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through, back to the 12th house. So the magic of our soul is hidden under all that conditioning, which is why you see in a lot of spiritual and book religion practices, the inner work is the way back home. New moon in the 12th, love it, right? Fresh new energy around mental health, around unconscious responses, around the magic of your soul and the integration of it. That Aquarius energy, the 12th house, can feel very hidden and very detached from the rest of the chart, but also deeply personal. Hey. You may have found in the lead up to that new moon, all of those themes getting exaggerated, right? I've got Aquarius over in the 7th. So my brain, in the lead up to this new moon, started reflecting on all the core wounds that I've had from like more committed romantic relationships. And I was like, I've not thought about that person for quite some time. And it all came up to the surface in order to be released. So you may have been struggling a little bit before this new moon. But as I said, it's really bringing in that fresh energy. It was the closing out of a lot of those cycles. So with this new moon, you're going to be able to navigate your unconscious spaces from a higher perspective. You're going to be able to integrate them a lot more, be able to make a lot more releases and making peace with certain things, as well as strengthening the connection to the magic of your soul. I love 12th house transits, even though they are a bit difficult, and they are just generally reorientating you back to your authentic magic. Where did you go? Yeah, that makes sense. So, as I said, this moon was conjunct Pluto and Mercury, which is bringing up from the underworld, and I don't mean that in a negative way, just that which is hidden, to the bringing it to the light, to the consciousness of the sun, that's then infusing into the moon, who is at her darkest. And so you're intuitively guided over the next 6 months to follow that path of activation. Whoa, okay, Pisces, this reading's wild. Now, this moon is trine Jupiter over in the sign of Gemini. Yala moyana. Dishani moyatiani motofina. Iani moyana otuma. We just want one more. Give me one more. Ishana maotoine mana. Dinima. And Gemini for you, my loves, is a fellow mutable sign, and that is over in your 4th house. Now, your 4th house is your roots and your foundations, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, parental figures, the roof over your head, and the things that you do in private, right? It is your foundational energy, both literal and figurative, such as the house that you are currently in, as well as your figurative foundations from which you grow. Jupiter is there. Jupiter in the 4th, you find so much wisdom when you are at home, when you're in your private space, connecting to the ancestors, but it's retrograde at the moment. It's going to go direct on the 4th of February. But that retrograde energy is inbuilt into this moon for the next 6 months. And so this allows us to, that's still 2 cards. We want one. This is allowing us to, it's Jupiter retrograde. 1 is the capacity to be able to question things. So I feel like a lot of illusions are potentially going to come up that particularly around 4th house holds a lot of trauma, right? Ancestors, parental figures, all infused in the unconscious spaces. So what this feels like is this moon is going to reveal unconscious responses to you. And that Jupiter being retrograde in the 4th means you're very quickly able to see that it is a delusion. It is an illusion. It is a cage that we are trapped in. And that is a little reference to one of those cards. And finding the deeper wisdom within yourself, finding those inner resources, the strength, the confidence, the faith, the knowing of your path, of who you are beyond the conditioning. So this is a very powerful reconnection back to the ancestors. The wisdom from them, as well as the wounds that you're helping work through. Coming to a greater sense of peace with the parental figures. Feeling more safe and secure in your unconscious spaces, which is going to have a knock-on effect with how you feel in your foundations of how you build. That magic of your soul coming through, right? And Jupiter being able to work with it. Right? Being able to question so say you get a lot more of your magic coming through, and an older version of you would have dismissed it, right? Would have dismissed it because it wasn't a conventional way of doing things. That Jupiter retrograde allows you to be more critical thinking, that's not a real proper sentence, allows you to critically think and be open to discussion with this, to these new thought patterns, these new ways of being. You're able to navigate this without necessarily dismissing this frequency. Yeah, a real strong connection to the magic of your soul and your ancestral lineage in a way that brings you a level of abundance and harmony. As I said, Jupiter's going to go direct on the 4th, so we are going to see Jupiter, the outward expression of all of that energy. We're going to see more manifestation around that. You're going to be able to put things into practice, but because that Jupiter retrograde is imprinted energetically for the next 6 months, you're going to be able to, when you're putting things into practice, when you're figuring things out, be able to question where it might not be working and move with that energy rather than missing certain things that need to go deeper, a little deeper. You've got the confidence to go deeper within yourself in order to transmute this energy. Now, very quickly, there is lots more astrology, not a crazy amount with this moon, but that's over in part 2 of the collective reading. Saturn traditionally rules Pisces, Aquarius. So Saturn is influencing this moon and is in Pisces, your first house. So Saturn is getting you serious, responsible, mature, connecting to your integrity of how you walk your path and commit to your own legacy. And that is all infusing in this moon of like, Saturn's like, right, this is the work that we've been doing. This is where we're headed. This is how we're building for the next 30 years. And we're going to sort out those unconscious spaces and get them in alignment, right? Saturn can be a bit of a drill master. And I know Saturn moving through the first can be a challenging transit. Just know that you are going to be so much more in your own authority, your own sovereignty with this. It's making that magic real, Pisces. Now, Pisces, traditionally ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter's influencing Saturn, therefore influencing this moon. So that's happening from your 4th. And Jupiter's going, hey, we're doing some excavation here in the root system. Right, we're sorting through this, we're getting rid of this, we're elevating, we're bringing a sense of abundance in that may have been blocked. It's very interesting. A lot of the channeling that I've been doing since doing the Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node transit is very mantra-like in its energy, and there's something around the repetitive, establishing practices, whether it's a mantra or not, on a regular basis. We are reconforming our own reality. Yeah, so Jupiter's saying, hey, we're finding more wisdom at home, we're finding more abundance, we've been recalibrating internally, we're going to be manifesting it outwardly. We want this sense of buoyancy in the root system that it's establishing there, that's feeding into Saturn, saying, hey, let's not take it all so seriously. Let's find the flow, the abundance, the joy of existence, and infuse that into sense of self, your embodiment of self, first house. And that's all pouring into the 12th of like, we are in a new frequency, and this new moon is getting influenced by the 2 gas giants to upgrade that. Now, Gemini traditionally ruled by Mercury. Mercury's over in your 12th, so you've got a feedback loop between Mercury, Saturn and Jupiter. Mercury, how we engage with information, what we perceive, how we collect it, how we communicate it. So you're getting some really strong communication in from your unconscious realms that Pluto's wanting to neutralize and bring up the magic of your power, right? So that how we're perceiving reality, getting rid of the distortions, getting back to your universal truth, rather than the chaos of the 12th. And Jupiter, as I said, that sense of wisdom, that faith, the abundance, the ease, the flow, the opportunities. And Saturn of how to build that all together. So, what's the activation? What's the universal truth that this new moon is kicking off that's going to unfold over the next 6 months? We have healing, and Freya, phases and cycles. So let's read these cards. And this is lovely for the 12th. The frequency of healing supports our intrinsic ability to restore our health and wholeness by consciously using the information that comes to us through our senses and harmonizing everything accordingly. Healing literally means to make whole. It refers to the process of restoring health to something or someone that is unbalanced, diseased, or damaged. For us to reach or maintain a state of health, of wholeness, we need to balance all aspects of ourselves, our physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional bodies. Have to harmoniously work together, and this requires clear communication and awareness of all the information that our sensory systems is providing us. Now, That can be old trauma responses from the parental figures from your early years. And even though you've got a better relationship now, there's still triggers. You're still perceiving reality as if you were that inner child. And this very much feels like a very calming, grounded, soothing balm for you to be able to perceive your reality now, right? And where you're headed with this new frequency, rather than keeping yourself stuck in old loops. And so far we have recognized sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch as the 5 senses that provide this feedback. In the new energy, we are invited to add our intuitive perception and the sixth, which complements this profound and essential feedback system well. And again, I like that there's healing your feedback system of the unconscious realms, right, which can be very, very distorted. And so it's really bringing in a greater sense of unity and wholeness, and being able to trust what you're telling yourself, and learn from that. The color green dominates this activation as it is associated with health, most likely because in nature, green indicates growth, fertility, and life. When in springtime we see the first greenish glow return to the branches of the trees, we know that a new growth circle has started, a clear indication of the continuance of life. Green also refers to a heart that is open to truth, compassion, and love, right? Letting go of a lot of the wounds. And that wound can be the disconnection from the magic of your soul, right? That wound of being here in this 3D incarnation. The purple, violet, and pink indicate our intuitive abilities, which are anchored in a strong connection to source and self. The 12 glowing flowers refer to life and the healthy growth that emerges from an effective healing process. In numerology, the number 12, is considered a 3, a catalytic number, indicating that all aspects of ourselves can harmonize together to support our natural, radiant, healthy state. And that is pulling back into the Saturn influence in your first, of your body, your sense of self, your character, how you move through the world, through your actions and your deeds. Now Freya is here. There is a beginning with every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. No way. We talked about that already. Freya, which means lady, is the Norse goddess of the moon and love. She is the twin flame of Odin and a warrior goddess who offers deep spiritual and physical protection for those who call on her. She will stand before you with her shield and spear, keeping you safe from harm. This feels like very linked into, there may be some big things that come up that you usually would have shied away from the unconscious spaces. And Freya is here saying you are protected to do the work here. The work that we do this year, I cannot stress it enough, right? 1, it's a year 9. 2, the astrology this year and next year is wild, never seen before in this lifetime, and many, 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 many lifetimes. It is wild. And the work that we do now from a place of neutrality, a place of love, do that deep soul retrieval stuff. Nearly swore then. The payoff is going to be wild. We are genuinely transforming our reality. She works closely with the moon energy and helps us recognize that our life is a cycle that is always changing. She herself is the maiden, the mother, and the crone aspect of all women, and guides them to see the wisdom these cycles bring. Now, feminine, masculine energy is not sex specific. Anima. We all go through phases and cycles of growth, and Freya is the energy that supports this. She is a raven spirit totem, which is said to represent her capacity to travel between heaven and earth. A phase of your life may be coming to an end, but it's important to acknowledge it is not the end. When one door closes, another opens. You may have been desperate for change, but now that it's here, you could feel vulnerable. Know that the mighty goddess Freya will guide you. So much of those unconscious responses feel really comfortable, and they kind of define who we are. And when they fall away, that's when we're vulnerable, because we feel quite naked, right? And we don't know who we are anymore. But trust in the flow of it and don't be too hard on yourself. Be very loving and very kind, because you've got 12th house transits at the moment, and that is a withdrawing, going inward, doing all this contemplation, right? Maybe envisage Freya around you as you stand bare and allow her wisdom and her support to protect you as you come back to a deeper understanding of self. Illusions are now being revealed so that you can leave behind anything that is false. Step into your peaceful warrior-like energy and welcome the changes you deserve. Tie up all loose ends and take heart. This is an exciting time. Right, the challenge. The challenge is the 7 of Swords, which is in fact, I believe, Moon in Aquarius card. And this is all about, so this is the challenge, is to try and get into this space. There's going to be a block around this. And this figure is stealing away the 5 of Swords. Right, the 5 of Swords for me is the most difficult card in tarot. It is about domination and subjugation, the bully and victim cycle, the feedback loop between those, right? The dominating energy that wants you to feel grief and heart-stricken in your mind. And this figure is stealing away the 5 of Swords. It's asking you to think differently. This card is the color of the sun. It's very difficult sometimes for us to think differently, especially when they're deep-rooted unconscious pathways. This card is asking you to step away from conflict and into your inner equilibrium, because we've got the 2 of Swords, which is in fact the moon in Libra. So this is the challenge, that you may find yourself being in certain wormholes, worm brain, conflict, destroyer, unconscious, grief, anxiety, depression, all of that, right? It's coming to the surface for you to go, hold up, right? And put into practice redirecting the energy, right? It's not about shaming that particular thought process that's having you feel really bad about yourself, or you're really judging other people, whatever it is. And this is about, oh, no, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to go do something else. You can literally go and do something else that can break the cycle, as well as whatever meditative techniques you've got. I find practicing laughter is a really great one, right? And also tapping into the heart, right? And bringing love to that frequency, bringing love to yourself. So this is the challenge, right? Cut the deck for support on this one. We got the 9 of Cups, which is kind of what I just said, right? This is the inner emotional balance, seeing the joy, seeing the abundance, having the gratitude of life, right? So finding that silver lining is going to help you activate this, right? This figure is very confident. They're enjoying their 3D experience, right? Big cup energy there, Pisces, right? Rather than falling into the pit, right? This is like, hey, this pit's got a really cool rock formation. I'm going to study this rather and let your mind do the things that it's doing, right? Sometimes it just still goes on, but you're just not as attached to it in the same way. I've certainly noticed for that from me my whole life. My brain, my mind, she's phenomenal, but she's cruel. She used to be really cruel all the time. And yeah, I've just noticed recently very strongly that I'll still have those thought patterns, but they're just not attached to me in the same way. And so we get it a bit twisted where we think that they disappear forever, right? Yes, we can obviously get to that place, but the stages towards it is making peace with it's even going on at all. Like, you're not bothered, right? If that 5 of Swords is going on, you're just not bothered, and you're getting into your state of gratitude for existence, and that's going to help activate this. Right, I need to pause to have a little clearing of the throat. Big throat chakra stuff going on at the moment. Sorry about that. Right, so how to work with this energy. Okay, we've got that 8 of Swords, which is in fact Jupiter and Gemini, 5 of Wands in reverse, and the Fool. So this is what I was talking about of illusion, and it's so funny that this is saying illusions are being revealed and released, because this is that feeling that you are trapped forevermore, caged in by a perspective, by thought form, by an idea, but you're not. It's not a cage. Everything is an illusion. So Jupiter is helping shake away those illusions from the 4th that have bound your power. So it's come in the upright. So they're wanting you to be aware that there are certain illusions going on, right? They're wanting you to know that this is the case, rather than it coming in the reverse of focusing on them falling away. They're wanting you to be consciously aware that certain patterns are an illusion, that you are not trapped in them forever. It is not a permanent state of being. They really want you to focus on that, because then it comes the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is saying, okay, now we're going to focus on a not of stepping outside of conflict. Right now that we've come into awareness, there's partly, so this is all about lots of stuff going on, low level conflict, but there's movement, but there's no momentum, right? So there's a frustrating, it can be procrastinating. This can be what your brain, your behind the scenes world could look like, right? Trapped in cages and a bit of a chaotic energy, bit frustrating, bit dramatic, but it's in the reverse. So they're wanting you now, with this awareness of this, is to get into a state of calm, of not being in conflict with this, not being in resistance to it. And when we're not in resistance, things dissolve away. They want you to find practices where you're not in resistance. There's a lot of resistance going on here. We want to be in a flow state, right? So if you're coming up with certain challenge, you're coming face to face with certain frustrations and challenges, I want you to soften your body and go do something that feels good to you, right? That's soothing. Rather than falling into the pit of embodying that frustration. Because they're really wanting you to cultivate this sense of flow, cultivate this sense of you are capable of moving beyond the conflict, right? That's an energy around you, that you hold that in your space when you're feeling that conflict, that frustration. Breathe, soften, maybe go do something else, or just let the energy move through you, because then you got the Fool, right? The Fool wants you to really operate from the heart, right? This Fool has left the village. It's left the ancestral and parental wounds. It's going off into the world with its own frequency to explore life, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. It is in awe of existence, in awe of it all, right? So we can bring that energy into any difficulties and just be like, it's amazing I'm even capable of thinking in this way, even if this way is a negative thought. Find that Nine of Cups energy. So the Fool is saying you're going to be embarking on a new journey of how you operate in your 12th house. Illusions are falling away. You're bringing in deep healing and operating from that heart space, where the chest is leading the Fool forward, right? That there's an element of a bit of a delusion in terms of, well, not delusion, a little bit of naivety or foolishness, arguably, right? Because the Fool's about to leap off this cliff and it knows a new reality is going to appear. So there's an element of a leap of faith of what's going on without any expectations or assumptions about how it's going to turn out. But I do love the Fool energy showing up, because it's saying that you are capable of re-navigating those unconscious realms in a more loving space, right? Which is doubling down on this. Also, an activation of a new way of you engaging with the magic of your soul. If you're finding yourself falling into old patterns, this energy is saying, hey, let's try a different way, right? And this is the work that I'm talking about. And I'm doing this for myself all the time. When I find myself in an old habit, I'm responding in an old way that I can tell doesn't really feel like me anymore, I'm going to consciously make acknowledgement of it, laugh about it, and then reorientate that energy. Right, at the bottom of the deck. Oh, 33303. As I was talking about that, we got the Five of Swords in reverse. Right, so this is the root energy that's being activated, is the clearing out of this Five of Swords, of the bully in the mind, right, and that victim mentality, of the desire to win at all costs, right, at what cost. This is, as I said, it's the most difficult card in tarot. It's hardcore conflict. It's there's a cruelness to it, there's a harshness to it, and you're letting go of that in the unconscious realms that is going to help bring that heart orientated space forward with you. And remember, Freya is protecting you through all of this. So say you may be in this space in the upright, in this space in the upright, call on Freya to act as protection while you operate as the Fool, right? Remember, no expectations or assumptions. That tends to create resistance as well. But I love the Fool with Freya, of like, you're very protected as you try and embody this, right? Which can feel so vulnerable, but you've got this Pisces. This is pretty damn powerful. You are coming back into a deeper wholeness of self. 12th house can be often very hard to integrate, and I always say with anyone when I'm talking about astrology, try and integrate that energy into the rest of your chart. Try and bring that Aquarius energy, that bigger picture, rather than worrying about the small things or getting lost in certain dynamics. Zoom out, right? And try and bring that zoom out, which is unconditional love, out into the rest of your chart. Right, my loves, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. I certainly enjoyed reading it for you. It's always an honor and a privilege. If you did enjoy it, hit that like button, leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. It brings me so much joy. But other than that, my loves, Pisces, be good to yourself, be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.